Welcome to Deep Thought. Earthly Guardians. Earthly Guardians. Now, I'm going to tell you where I've got the term guardians from. Now, I think that's been used in like supernatural literature, but I specifically using the term guardians in honor of this writer that I knew. Unfortunately, she transitioned, but her name was L.A. Banks, and she wrote a whole lot of supernatural books, the most popular of which was about a multiracial group of vampire slayers, and it was a 12-issue series, and it was called the Vampire Huntress Legends and stuff. And there was like a global army of these special powered people called guardians, and some of them fought vampires and some of them did some other stuff, but and it was very important to have that. Now, earthly guardians. Now, in the previous podcast, I talked about real vampires. Some of them unconscious, some of them were conscious, but never a good thing. And then definitely toxic people are never a good thing, right? But, one thing with spirit, and however you choose to worship, or name the supreme force, whether it's like God or infinite intelligence or the great pumpkin, I'll just say nature in general, if it has one thing, it always creates the counterbalance. That's the one thing with nature. So if you have some people with negative energy, you have some people with toxic energy that can affect others, then you have the opposite of people whose energy can actually heal people. And it could bring something, and it could be anything. It's not necessarily, that superhero. Or, it ain't like Blade running around with, some bullets and a sword killing like vampires or something, or super beings. But it could be that woman, it could be that older woman in a bad neighborhood who, no matter how bad the neighborhood is, no matter how terrible it is, everybody respects her. Like I've seen that. You might have, it could be the most worst neighborhood, gang infested, drug infested, but it have that one older woman who even the toughest, meanest gang members, thugs, will have nothing but respect for. They'll call everybody else like every name in the book and talk trash to adults and everything, but they'll get around that one older woman. And, they like miss this and miss that. They'll clean up her yard. And, Lord, don't let nobody mess with outside the neighborhood. They'll mount up. But she's also that woman that she go to when they're feeling bad. They need something. They don't want to bother. They if they got to show their real thing. She's almost a mother figure. And they'll do whatever it is to protect her. But at the same time, because of her energy, she's actually making a difference in their lives. She's bringing some positivity, which can actually help them in the long run. Or it could be that guy. It could be that guy who might have, he might work somewhere. He could have like what society would consider a lowly position, right? But he's always talking with people. He's always doing some positive stuff. It could be that person who keeps the peace in his neighborhood, or it could be that healer. And whether it could be a formal healer like a doctor, or it could be more of a spiritual type of healer, once again, in some bad places. It could be that in a chaotic family, it could be that one child that everybody deals with and everybody comes down for. Because that the spirit of that child is so great, it actually affects everybody else. Earthly guardians are everywhere, every place. You can go on a business, you can go in neighborhoods. Some of them might be sports coaches. Some of them could be even businessmen and women. But the business they in, they might be the types who will give jobs, second chance jobs to people and get something, or it could be that business or that person who has a lot of money who say, well, you know what, I'm a sponsor some deserving kids to go to school. They always doing something positive. Now, it's more than just having money or resources. It's what their spirit does, what they do with their spirit. They moving people positively. And like I say, it's not always the obvious, not the hero, or even in this society, it's not always maybe that minister or even a formal doctor, even though they doing their stuff. But they're all over. And because of them, they're making a difference. That's a very important thing. And there's plenty of them. Yes, we have tons of like negative folks out there, but we got positive ones. We got peacekeepers and stuff. I've encountered them. I mean, we've all encountered them. There's been people I've encountered, like one of my favorite, there was a young lady that the neighborhood where I was living with my grandmother at the time I grew up in, right? There was a young lady that lived in that neighborhood who all the guys respected. All the guys. And she was very attractive, very beautiful, very attractive. But she had a very peaceful energy, very peaceful. Peaceful to the point, like, and she could just make people feel good. I'll never forget, and I actually wrote about this in one of my books. Oh, okay, it was an unpublished book, but I'll never forget it. When I was working in the government. I was in downtown. It was in downtown D.C. I was going to lunch, and I'll never forget. It was something that happened on the job, and I was real annoyed. I was real irritated. I was walking. And I saw on the street, I said hi, she said hi, and she saw how annoyed I was, right? And she didn't say anything more. She just grabbed my hand and just looked at me and just held my hand. She didn't say anything. That was out besides hi. She didn't say anything. And I was like, I didn't even say, seriously, I was like it was one of those things. I was in a fighting mood. All she did was just sit there real peaceful and hold my hand. That's all they did. And then all of a sudden, I'm real calm. And then I was like, thank you. And all the guys in the neighborhood knew her and stuff. And she even had a boyfriend. But the respect for her was such, despite how beautiful she was, nobody tried to test the boyfriend. Shoot, people were like respecting him for even being with her. Right? But the peaceful energy she had and the way everybody felt, she was like everybody's, people kind of looked at her like that sister that everybody had to protect. And her energy was such, if somebody outside the neighborhood had made a mistake of messing with her, everybody, all the men in the neighborhood would have laced up the Timbs and went after her. But she had that real peaceful energy. And you had people like that. It's just something about their spirit. You just genuinely love them, you know? But and it's not, sometimes they ain't always a peaceful. Sometimes the energy of an earthly guardian might be that rough, like take no charge, curse you out energy. But they doing what they have to do. That's the thing, so it's whatever's needed. Like a person who's more of a warrior, they could have that energy. Sometimes the situation that might have to be dealt with might need that rough character. Like I've met some dudes who, they might even been in prison before or something like that, but they'll come out and they will curse out him up, grab some dudes, young dudes, and do what they got to do to keep them out of prison. But sometimes you need that. As one of my mentors would say, sometimes you got those dudes who can handle stuff just as long as the cameras are off. But that's actually a guardian too. You have people, they'll have whatever skill they need, and they'll be placed wherever they need to be placed to make a difference. So no matter what type of toxic folks are out there, or what type of people on some evil, spirit, nature, God, Allah, whatever term you want to use, has put those people out there who can make a difference. That's the thing with them. They are the earthly guardians. You can call them angels, whatever. But their purpose is to keep the peace, keep the balance. And they all do it in different ways. So anyway, indeed, some of y'all who listen, y'all might be those guardians. All right? So anyway, that's all I got for today. I'll talk to y'all next week. Peace and blessings.